Alright, so I'm not really good at talking in a video by myself, but you know what? I'm gonna give it a shot. I have a page of notes that I made to help me, but I'm probably just gonna deviate from them anyway, so screw it. Anyway, I recently uploaded a video, Unreal Engine video titled Codename Bermuda Main Menu Project. I'll leave a link to it down below in the description in case you guys want to check it out. Anyway, that project was based on a project that I worked on when I attended Full Sail University. It got me thinking about my time and experience at the school, and spoiler alert, it wasn't a good experience. Anyway, I had a really bad experience when I attended Full Sail, and I've been keeping it to myself for about a year and a half now, a little bit more than that maybe. Anyway, doing that video brought up some memories, and I wanted to take the time to do this video because it gives me an opportunity to talk about it. Like I mentioned before, I kind of keep it to myself. And people always say it's best to talk about your problems, so why not make it a video here on YouTube? Maybe it'll entertain you, maybe it'll help somebody out who may have faced a similar issue that I'm about to go into. So yeah, I attended Full Sail University in Florida. I went in for their game development program because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a programmer in video games, like to learn how to make them. And I studied in their program. It was supposed to be 22 months total. That's kind of the thing that got me in. They said that bachelor's degree normally takes around 4 years, and they said they could do it in 22 months if I followed their program. So in total, it ended up taking me about 33 months total, so almost 3 years. I went through with their program. I had some ups and downs, failed a few classes, took some time off, and I eventually made it out. Most of my issues with the school happened right around my last few months there. If you're not aware, Full Sail, in their last 6-7 months, they require students to complete what's called a final project. It's one big project that everybody gets together on, incorporates everything that we've learned throughout our time, and basically we turn out a game, so to speak, for lack of a better word. It's basically a demonstration of what we learned, how we can work with a team, and how we can overcome goals, crunch times, all that stuff they kind of teach you about in game development. So with my team that I was put on, we were tasked with creating a first-person shooter. We chose to do it in the Unreal Engine because they gave us a choice between that, making our own, or using Unity. We chose Unreal. We thought it'd be pretty cool, and Doom had just come out, and that was like the biggest game at the time that everybody was talking about. So we were like, why not make a first-person shooter, kind of in the style of Doom, and see where we can go from there. So during the first or second month, everything was cool. Like, we had our project, we knew what we were supposed to be doing. I mean, we were learning some stuff, we all got to know each other. It was all good. It wasn't until like I would say the third month, where we started transitioning into Unreal. We got into the final project studio, and that's where the real issue began, with me at least. I was tasked with mostly doing UI work and like HUDs, menus, anything like that. If you watch the other previous videos that I uploaded to the channel with the Unreal Engine, you can tell that I kind of lean towards main menus and stuff like that. It's kind of what I like to do. I mean, it's simple, but it's fun. It's one of the things I enjoyed doing when I was at school. Anyway, going back to the project, that's what I was tasked with doing, and that's when I started to realize that they didn't really care, and I mean the teachers, the instructors, didn't really care the type of work we created, and they never made that clear to us, I guess you would say, because everything that we submitted, me and my teammates included, we would fail. They would just fail us, get bad grades, explain to us that, oh, this is not what you're supposed to be doing, this is not how you're supposed to be working, here's a 40, here's a 30, and in grades. And most of my team at first we were all bummed out. We were like, why are we failing? Every single thing we try to do, I mean, it's not good enough. And it was all between us, like amongst ourselves and amongst other classmates that we had, other team members. And eventually it got to the point where I was fed up. I mean, I tried so hard to communicate with instructors and try to figure out what it was we were doing wrong, and it never seemed to work. No matter how many times I would cry and complain, I guess you could say, because everything that we submitted I thought was cool. We had opinions from other people saying it was cool, and then once we got our grade back, we failed. And basically, sorry about the language, but they pretty much shit on everything we did. Eventually it got to the point where I was fed up. I knew my team was fed up. We were all depressed. We didn't even want to come into work half the time. Classes, those kind of classes, they didn't require us to show up, you know, as long as milestones were getting done and turned in on time. So half of the time there'd be like 1 or 2 people showing up to work on the project, and everybody would claim, you know, I'll just work from home, because nobody wanted to be around that. Nobody wanted to be in an environment where instructors were telling you your work sucks. You know, other team members were getting told the same thing, and they just kind of had to sit there and take it, because everybody was afraid to speak. At least in my mind, everybody seemed afraid to speak. You know, they thought that, you know, staying quiet, just doing what you're told, they'll just get it through. I mean, and I understand it was the last few months. Everybody's tired. Everybody wants to graduate, and everybody just wants to, you know, make the game, get out of the way, and get out of here. You know, that's kind of the mindset everybody else had. Unfortunately, I did not have that mindset. So despite everything that was going on, I still kept fighting instructors. I still kept meeting up with them and telling them, you know what, this is what we're doing. This is how we're doing it. What is the issue? How could we fix this? And I never got a straight answer. Nobody was ever on the same page. One instructor said this, the other one said that. I couldn't even meet with them half the time. And eventually it got to the point where I felt like I couldn't do anything. I had to sit there and take it, and no matter how hard I tried, no matter how many nights I stayed up working on a feature on this project, it was just going to get, you know, a bad grade no matter what, and I was going to end up failing. And the rest of my team thought the same way. So right around the time where, you know, I said I was through with it, you know, I even stopped working at a point because that's how frustrated I was. I felt like nothing I did was worth it. And I even told them, I was like, you know what, why even try if you guys are just going to fail me and not help me? Because I'm trying to do the best that I can do. I'm trying to be with the team and have them help and do the best that they can do. And overall, it seems like nothing's getting done no matter how hard we try. So what did you want me to do? That's what I would talk to my instructor. That's what I would ask them. What do you want me to do? Like, how am I supposed to work and move forward if you're stopping me every step of the way and not trying to help me? And I'll admit, I did make some mistakes. Some of the stuff I didn't, you know, I didn't handle it correctly, like the whole not working thing. I mean, I should have at least kept working. You know, I missed a milestone or two, and that got me just a plain old 0 for not turning anything in. That made a lot of things worse. Eventually, everything added up. Nobody wanted to speak up anymore. I was the one pretty much talking out, and, you know, it's not really surprising to me. It was at the time, but now that I look back at it, you know, I was the one that failed. They failed me. They basically held me back and threatened me and told me that my only option was to go right back to the very beginning of Final Project and redo a whole 6 months worth of work when I was supposed to graduate like a month or so later. So as you can imagine, getting told you're being held back and getting told that you have to redo 6 months worth of work with the same instructors going through the same issues that you had, you know, obviously that's not cool. And I made it very clear that I was not going to do that. I told them that, you know, if you're going to be threatening me like this, if you're going to go ahead and fail me, I'll take it. But I am going to the very top, and I'm going to talk to whoever I need to talk to get things straightened out, because this isn't right the way students are being treated. You know, it's not right that we're putting in so much work our last few months to make a good project that we're supposed to be able to portfolio and show it off. And this is all the trouble we're getting with no real reason. That's the main thing. I didn't want to go further than that. I didn't want to say, you know, oh, this is a racial issue, because if you don't know, I'm Hispanic. So I didn't want to say that's a racial issue or anything like that. I knew what was going on. And you know what, I stopped right there, stopped talking to instructors, and I went to the main program director. So after all that went down, instructors told me, you know what, fine, if that's what you want to do, go talk to the main program director, nothing's going to happen. One of them even basically laughed at me and told me that, you know what, with that attitude, you'll never find a job, you're never going to work, you're just going to be a loser. Basically, not those words, but essentially he was calling me a loser because I didn't want to put up with this stuff. Anyway, I went to the main program director after like weeks of trying to get a meeting with him. Obviously, he was ignoring me, I think, because I would send him emails, I would send him like written requests to speak with him, I would send him written documents stating everything that was going on. I had classmates that were willing to write in, and they sent a couple of things towards him. Eventually, he met up with me, and we had a conversation. Even after talking to the program director for a few times, after having a few meetings, I still had no success. Everything pretty much stayed the same. He basically told me, oh, well, you know, what happened happened. Nothing they can do about it. I was going to have to fail and just retake classes. Luckily, they did cut me a break. I didn't have to retake a whole 6 months worth. They basically just held me back another month, which wasn't too bad, honestly, but just the fact that everything went down like that, I was kicked off the team. my name was removed from the game. I didn't get to use it in my portfolio. Unless you played the game and looked at the in-game credits, my name is there, but on the actual game page that Full Sail has and everything else, my name, sorry, is gone. It's not on there. I can't use it as a final project, portfolio piece. Unfortunately, I still do, but I mean, my name isn't on there. If anybody goes to look, it's not going to be on there. The only way you can know that is if you take my word for it, or if you go and actually play that game and look at the in-game credits. I got moved to another project with another student who's been there for a while. He wasn't working out on any of the teams, so eventually they just threw him by himself. And since he was by himself and there was nowhere else to put me, they kind of just threw me on him. I ended up taking over some of the stuff that he worked on, and overall that game wasn't really good. If you go to my portfolio, it's called Orbital. It's a little space shooting game. You fly around, you shoot stuff. Anyway, the game wasn't good. At that point, instructor that I had, he basically was just a babysitter, sadly, because everything that we turned in, we just got like hundreds or 90s. And you can tell right away nothing was graded. So he was just basically there to keep us busy until the time came for us to get out of there. We never even submitted the game. We didn't do any of the final preparations for it that we had to do for the other ones. I didn't even think we were actually going to finish. The game ended up being somewhat finished, but it was never submitted. I don't know what happened to it. I don't have the code or anything for it anymore. I just have those couple screenshots. And the guy that I worked with it on, I guess he kept it. I don't know what he did with it. Overall, I had no final project was the main thing. Everybody else got to graduate, have a final project or two under their belt. There's something they could show off saying that, hey, this is what I worked on. Check it out. I had nothing. Yeah, after all that went down, it sucked. I hold a lot of resentment for the school, Full Sail. My last 6 months there, I was treated unfairly by instructors. I reached out for help with no success. Program director for no success. Those were the worst months that I've ever had. Under stress constantly, under pressure, trying to complete milestones alongside my teammates and having sleepless nights working on goals and all that for pretty much nothing. All we got was, failing grades, getting told we weren't good enough, instructors telling us, that we're not really trying, we're not doing anything, telling us our work sucked and not trying to help us improve. They pretty much killed our motivation. Nobody on the team even wanted to show up half the time, and everybody in the other teams in our class were pretty much feeling the same way. Nobody talked. All the happiness in the room was sucked out. And I try to speak my mind. I try to get things to the way they should be in my mind, and I ended up getting held back. Everybody else got to pass and graduate on time. I was the only one out of like 30 students that got held back. And I think it was because I tried to speak my mind and try to get help, not just for me, but for everybody. In the end, I realized that I was not going to get anywhere in my situation, so I tried to keep fighting and spread the word, so somebody else didn't have to go through that experience, because that sucked. Doesn't matter how or anything, but nobody should have to go through that kind of experience, having to work so hard and getting told they suck or they are not doing their best when they really are trying their best. I knew I wasn't going to get anywhere. So I tried to take steps to make sure that wouldn't happen to anybody else. So yeah, graduating didn't really feel much of an accomplishment after everything that I went through. Everybody got to graduate with final projects, everybody got to graduate with their friends, and I didn't get any of that. They completely cut me off from any sort of credit, anything like that. They basically just gave me the diploma and told me good luck. And afterwards, after graduating, I made attempts to look for work, any kind of jobs that I can get. I applied to studios, game studios. I had interviews with Rockstar San Diego. I had interviews with Machine Games out in California. I think it's an indie studio. I applied for other non-gaming jobs, such as like IT for the city that I live in. IT for like a insurance company or something like that. I applied to hospitals to try to get into their IT department, but pretty much everybody was like, nope, you have no experience, or I suck at interviews, or I don't know. I know the gaming jobs I couldn't get because I have really no portfolio to show off, and then if you ever had a game programming interview, they ask you a lot of difficult questions, and a lot of those I did not know. And they even, some of them, I know Rockstar San Diego even questioned if I even went to school, which kind of sucked. You know, I like Rockstar. I play a lot of their games way back, Grand Theft Auto, up in Red Dead Redemption, all those kind of games. Just to be able to work for them would have been awesome, but after going through an interview and having them ask me that, it just completely killed me. I realized after failing interviews and over, I realized I didn't accomplish anything in school. All that I managed to do was lose 3 years and put myself into close to $130,000 worth of school debt. You know, private loans and federal loans. And at the moment, all that was for nothing. My degree is, I don't even know where it is. It's in a box somewhere. I don't even have any interest in looking at it or telling people that I even went to school, but you know, it is what it is. I've been ignoring pretty much everything about it for a while now. I try to put it behind me and just move on. Right now I just work a simple grocery store job, you know, bagging groceries, minimum wage. It's whatever. And I'm pretty much doing nothing really. The YouTube channel that I have on here that you're watching this on or listening to, whatever, is mainly just a hobby, just to keep my mind off of things. And you know, if it eventually becomes something, cool. If not, you know, cool, move on to something else. But like I said, the main reason for this was just to express what I've been through, mainly just for me to keep a record of. It kind of helps me, you know, cope with it a little bit. And if anybody ever finds this video or watches it or listens to it, whatever you want to call it, maybe it'll help them. Because eventually, like I said, when I was trying to fix my problems, I stopped caring about what was going on with me and trying to make it so where it wouldn't happen to another person, another student. So that's what I hope you take away from all this, I guess, if anybody ever looks at it. I know I researched videos of Full Sail before I went to the school, and I ignored a lot of them. So maybe somebody will find this video, and I don't know. If you need an advice, just really think about what you're gonna do and what you want to do, because not everything ends up the way you hope. At least that's what happened to me. This was just my experience. This is the way I went through it. I'm not saying it happens to everybody. I'm not saying it will happen to anybody, but stuff happens. You know, it sucks. And like I said, this is just for me to keep a record of, and to hopefully help somebody out, whoever decides to watch this. So, you know, this was a very difficult video to script or whatever to write down, because I had to write all this stuff down before I even talked. And I'll leave a link in the description below to this little letter that I had. And, you know, I'll just leave it at that. Thank you, whoever stuck around to the end to watch or to listen. You're awesome. And I will see you later. Maybe. Who knows?